Wreath, and to the choir as always, to John Evie and to Zeke for helping us with the worship of music. You have truly helped us this day to worship the Lord. And I wanted to tell you that the sermon title, Stay Awake, I've already taken some ribbing about a title like that. No, it's not directed to anyone in particular about sleeping during the sermon. Well, a few days after Christmas in the year of 2008, my family and I, we were living in Lubbock, Texas at the time, and we had been to church. It was just a few days after Christmas, and we drove back home after church, and as I pulled up into the driveway and looked, the front door of the house was standing completely open. Sinking feeling came over me. Raise your hand if you've been there. As I walked up sort of cautiously to the front door and looked inside, the whole house was ransacked. People, while we were gone to church, had come in and they had helped themselves to all of our Christmas stuff. They took away my brand new big screen TV. Everybody say, oh. They took away Christmas presents. A computer was missing. Maybe the worst part was when I opened my chest of drawers, they took my socks. Look, wait a minute, who would take your socks? The socks were gone. By the way, the policeman told us later, they put those on their hands so that they don't leave any fingerprints. Okay, so they were intelligent thieves that ransacked our house. But it didn't change the way that it felt. And from that day forward, every time I pulled up into the driveway of that house in Lubbock, Texas, I looked at the door and I relived that moment when just like that, like the balloon popping, just like that, unexpected, our whole life changed. Olivia was 4 at the time. It took her years to get over that. She couldn't sleep throughout the night, all through the night. It took her 4 or 5 years to get over the shock and the surprise of that burglary. I'd always thought, if we had just known they were coming, if we'd just known, we could have been ready. But we didn't know, and we had not taken precautions. We didn't have a security system. We had not been real careful as we carried in the big boxes of all the stuff for Christmas. And so it came as a shock, and it caught us off guard. I want to tell you this morning, that's exactly what the Scripture is trying to tell us. The Scripture that Jennifer just read to us, did you notice it mentioned a thief? And it said that's how the coming of Christ will be, like a thief. The Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. Say it with me, unexpected. So you're sitting there thinking, why in the world would we have this text on the first Sunday in Advent? Why are we talking about the second coming of Christ on the first Sunday of Advent? Well, there's a reason for that. You see, Advent means coming. The word means coming. And it refers to the historic longing for Messiah that we celebrate at this time, but it also refers to the hope of Christ's second coming. All of that is merged together in the Word and in this season of Advent. You say, really? Well, sure, we say it every Sunday, don't we? The Apostles' Creed, the traditional version that we normally use. Have you ever noticed in that creed, the creed says, you remember that Christ died and was raised, and he ascended into heaven and sitteth at the right hand of God, the Father Almighty. And then there's this line, from thence, what? He shall come. We say it every Sunday, almost. He shall come. Every Sunday, every first Sunday when we have communion, when we celebrate the Lord's Supper, we say it again. See, that's the problem in church. Sometimes we say these things so many times that it puts us to sleep. And so the title of the sermon is Wake Up. Every time we serve communion, we say it together. The mystery of the faith. Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ, what? Will come again. All those times when we celebrated communion, you were affirmed in your belief that Christ will come. The question is, do we really believe that? Is it one of those churchy things that we just say? Or do we really believe that Christ is coming? Well, if he is coming, what does the text say that we should do? The scripture is clear. It says if Christ is coming, then we should keep awake. I like some of the other ways that the word is translated. One of the versions says, be prepared. That's the Boy Scout motto. Be prepared. Christ is coming. Be prepared. Christ is coming. Stay alert. Another of the translations says, be on your guard. Watch out. All of that is appropriate if Christ is coming. And the purpose of this scripture is not to try to frighten us into faith. It's not trying to scare us into belief. That doesn't work anyway, does it? How many of you know someone who got scared into Christian faith? It doesn't work. It doesn't last. One of the commentators said, condemnation does not compel people to authentic faith. And so the point of the scripture is not to scare us. It's to encourage us. Christ is coming, so be ready. Live in such a way that we are ready. How many of you remember Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense, a few administrations back, known for saying things in a way that sort of was confusing? I remember one of the things that Rumsfeld said, I read it this week. Rumsfeld said there are known knowns. Those are the things that we know. And then there are known unknowns, and those are the things that we know we do not know. And then there are unknown unknowns, and those are the things that we do not know that we do not know. Raise your hand if you're confused. Known knowns, the things that we know. Christ is coming. We know that. What is the known unknown? When? And Jesus said in this passage, did you notice it? He himself doesn't know. He said the Son of Man doesn't know the day or the hour. That's the known unknown. Then what are the unknown unknowns? Everything else. The things that we don't know and we don't even know that we don't know. Okay, I'm thoroughly confused. Except for this. What if we take this idea of the second coming of Christ away from the future? I believe he will come in the future. But for the moment, let's not worry about that. That's an unknown. For the moment, let's put the coming of Christ in the context of right now. And I want to suggest to you, Christ is coming all the time. Every day in the ordinary business of your life, Christ comes. Have you seen him? Have you experienced him? Just this week, gathered with family for Thanksgiving. Yes, I ate way too much turkey. Raise your hand if you did the same. Way too much pumpkin pie. Gathered with family. Someone said something that annoyed me. I know that you're more spiritual than me and you don't get annoyed. But occasionally, I get annoyed by things that people say. And without thinking about it, I said something sarcastic to my family member. Something that was mean. Because I was annoyed. I know you don't do that, but I do. And just like that, Christ returned. And I I was measured and found wanting. What if every day as we go about the business of our living, what if we could be aware of Christ coming each and every moment? He comes. Are we waiting for His coming? It's a moment when who we are on the inside, who we are in our core, gets revealed by the floodlight of Christ's presence. That's a second coming. When He comes and floods our life in such a way that everything that we are gets revealed. Our sarcasm, our mean-spiritedness, our selfishness, our greed. Christ comes every day and reveals who we are. And so the scripture says, since we know that Christ is coming, since I know He's going to show up today in my life, shouldn't I be ready? Shouldn't you? Shouldn't we be prepared for the coming? One of the commentators said, the second coming is not a riddle to be solved. The second coming is a call to be ready, to live faithful lives today in preparation for His coming. How's that going for you? When I was teaching school, my principal, Mr. Aiken, would come by sometime in the fall, and he would say, Mr. Metter, you're a new teacher. I'm going to be coming by to observe your teaching one day this week. And it would just sort of send cold chills. One day this week, he would say, I'm going to drop by. And so I rushed home. I did just what you did. I started working on my lesson plans, putting in more time than I usually did, working harder than I usually did, making sure I was more creative than I usually was. I wanted, for the moment when Mr. Aiken dropped in, I wanted there to be magic. And then he didn't come. So I did what you would do. I saved that lesson. I said to myself, I'm not going to waste this lesson if he's not going to be here. And I got that much out of my mouth, and I realized, you're not very smart, are you? Waste a lesson on children? It's funny how expectancy can bring out the best in us. Expecting that he was going to drop by made me the best teacher I could be. Hey, what if in our spiritual lives, expecting the return of Christ could make us the kingdom people that we ought to be, the kingdom people that we want to be, the kingdom people that Christ died for us to be? Expectancy. That's the definition of Advent. And so I want to ask us this morning, have we grown complacent? It's because we've stopped expecting. We've decided that He's not ever coming back. But the truth is, He comes every day. Every day, Christ comes. And as we look for His coming, He brings out the best in us. So here's our homework. Are you ready for your homework this week? Here's your homework. It's voluntary. I hope you'll do it. Think of all the extras in your life. What's an extra? Well, you know what a movie is. A movie has extras. The extras in a movie are all those people in the background. They're walking behind the main characters. They don't ever have speaking parts, not usually. They're extras. And so I want you to think about your life. Who are the extras in your life? Maybe it's the lady that runs the cash register at the 7-Eleven where you stop for a cup of coffee. Maybe it's the person at the grocery store that's stocking the shelves. You notice them from time to time. You don't engage them. They're an extra. They're not a central character in your life. Maybe it's a neighbor 3 houses down and you don't even know his name because he's an extra. What if it's the woman in the car right next to you, the one that you just cut off in traffic? And you don't really care because she's extra. Here's the homework. What if this Advent, it starts today, by the way, what if this Advent we treated the people around us, not the central characters, they're going to be well cared for, I assure you. Talking about the extras. What if we treated the extras in our lives as if Christ is coming? How would it change the way that we live? Could they experience the presence of Christ through me, through you, if we treated the extras as if Christ is returning? Are you willing to accept the homework challenge? My prayer for all of us is that as this Advent season begins, we would look for the coming of Christ every moment and allow His coming to change the way that we live. May it be so.